my loves, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new. Hi, hello. It is the Loey and Lily show. Okay, bye. She's tolerated exactly 2 seconds of holding for me. That's the end. Dumbo is in the frame today. Some people say he kind of like freaks them out, so I've been sort of like moving around so that he wasn't in the shot, but I feel like I need him for moral support. And also, somebody commented the other day and they were like, why does she sit on the floor when she has a perfectly good chair right behind her? I don't know. I know a lot of you have seen this title and you're so excited. I have sat down to film this a few different times now, and I keep sort of like jumbling up my words. I don't know how much to say. I don't know what to censor. So I think I'm just gonna tell the entire story as it stands, and if there are any details I need to cut out for privacy reasons so that other parties are protected. This is not the finale of my psycho roommate horror story. Some of you may be really disappointed by that because a lot of people have been asking what the final straw was with my roommate, because if you have watched my 2 previous videos, which you 100% should watch before you watch this one, especially the Ouija board story is gonna give the rundown of all of the creepy things my roommate was doing leading up to this. That's why it's called My Possessed Roommate, because this did happen after the Ouija board story. There are a lot of details that you're gonna miss out on if you do not catch up to speed, so I'm gonna go ahead and link those videos down below. If you've already seen my Ouija board story, you know that I had a roommate that I lived with for a very brief period of time. I was also living in that house with 2 other people, so it was 4 of us in the house. And I think that after you guys hear this story, you're gonna be floored as to how I didn't get out of this situation. But trust me, there is so much behind this that is so personal that I feel like I'll never be able to say, in terms of like why I stayed in that situation, why I didn't move out. In all honesty, Cliff Notes version, I didn't have a lot of money and I was very, very, very scared. I was 19 years old, living on my own for the first time. I had married into the military. I had no money, no contacts in Kansas, and I had just left college and all of my work. So when you hear this and you're like, there is no way in God's green earth that this can be true, because she should have like hightailed it out of there, it really did happen. Okay, so I, again, have to censor this a tiny bit, but please understand that the act of taking someone's phone and texting people from it, or leaving voicemails and pretending to be someone else, is something that happened multiple times with this girl. And in all honesty, there was a spell of time where I did not believe that. I was like, no one steals someone's phone and like goes through it and types messages to people, and no one calls and like impersonates people and leaves like crazy voicemails or says crazy things. And then it happened to me. But in all honesty, there is so much that this girl has done. There are so many stories I could tell. I could probably write a literal novel on Whitney, which is what I have been calling my roommate for the last couple of stories. So Whitney and I were friends. We did get along, but I'm not entirely sure how much I've made it known that we also had some strange fights during the course of our friendship. Whitney and I had been friends for a few months. We texted like I would say every other day, if not every single day. We were very close. We were very good friends. But there were a lot of things that happened with Whitney. She stole from my family, and that's something I've never put out there. And I feel like when I go over all of this, even with my last 2 stories and then the rest of everything that I need to tell you guys about her, to let you know the person that she was before the Ouija board thing ever happened, I feel like I can't even put it into words. There is so much history with this girl, and I don't know what was wrong with me. I don't know why I stayed friends with her. I felt like I was in a situation where I couldn't be with the person that I wanted to be with. You know, I had gotten married very young. We did not have our stuff together, you know what I mean? We were not financially prepared to move in together, but we did. That was just what we wanted to do. I wanted to be with my husband more than I wanted to look at all of the things that were happening with Whitney and believe them for what they were. And there was a lot of things that I turned a blind eye to that I never should have, like the part where she stole from my family. I think that's a different story time than this, because there's just so much, you guys. There's literally so much. It's crazy. So I can be someone who, even when I have gut feelings, and I feel like my intuition is very spot on, like I would say 99% of, not 99, that's very accurate, like 90% of the time. When I have gut feelings or intuitions or instincts, they're usually right about people, and I would have these, she would do these things that would make no sense to me, and just these malicious and awful and really just cruel things. Like, the Whitney story goes so much deeper than anyone knows. She did really awful things. I hate saying this out loud. She killed a kitten in Oklahoma, visiting her boyfriend's family, and we found kittens, and they were under a building, and they were just wild little kittens, and we took one, and it was like my kitten, you know? It really upsets me to still think about it, but she did something I don't know that I can ever repeat out loud, and she killed the kitten, and I didn't know about that until way later, until the boyfriend and I finally reconnected after all of this stuff went down, and he told me. And like, I don't know anyone who's that evil. It was the act of giving someone, like, not even giving someone, because you can't like possess an animal. Like, I had this kitten, she had, you know, she was so sweet. She was telling me how she was gonna take care of it for me, and it felt like, okay, I had just lost my kitten Simba previously. Before that, he was alive. There was a situation where he had to be rehomed due to him scratching a child and animal control, and it was so weird. But anyway, so yeah, I had my cat Luna, who was my childhood cat, who I was moving to Kansas with, and also my kitten. That was something that happened prior to the Ouija board story, that she killed this kitten, like purposely. So I can't put a lot of this past her. And that's something you guys didn't know when I was telling the original story, is that she is a malicious person. This is why I'm scared of her. This is why I hate telling these stories. They give me such awful anxiety. This is why I've only told like one a year of my psycho roommate thing, because it is very traumatizing what happened with her. She stole, she scammed me, she scared the living crap out of me, she gave me this kitten and then killed it. There was also a puppy that her boyfriend had that she took possession of after everything was said and done, and how I hope that dog is okay. If I had known at the time, I never would have let her leave with him. But this story in particular is about how she almost ruined my entire life, almost completely alienated me from my family, who I was already in a very bad place with at the time. This was after the Ouija board. I do think there were elements of what happened after the Ouija board that would suggest that she was possessed. There was the whole thing where she went into those fits of rage when like I accused her, not even accused her, I was like, are you wearing my sweater? And she was like, no, it's mine. There was the whole thing, she had the nosebleed, but there were parts of what happened after the Ouija board that I can't explain away. Like the whole thing where her nose started bleeding and all that stuff where she forgot where she was, and just weird things like that. Like the time on the clock literally disappearing when we played with the Ouija board. There are things I can't explain with that, but I still don't know if this was her or if this was her like with added influence. Sometimes I wonder if the reason that she was able to be like possessed, in my opinion, once again, this is not fact, but sometimes I wonder if it was because she was such a bad person already, if it was because she already had so much evil in her, because I look back and I can't use any other word but evil to describe her. One day I get a text from my best friend. We're gonna call her Sarah, and my best friend Sarah texts me and she's like, I know it's been a few days, I've had some time to think about this, and after the things that you told me that you did, I don't feel that I can in good confidence be your friend anymore. And I was staring at my phone. This was my best friend from Georgia, my best friend from high school, like someone I was so close with. And I was staring at my phone and I was like, what is she talking about? We hadn't talked in like a week leading up to that, and there was a spell of time where, you know, we kind of drifted apart. She was very hurt that I was like leaving college and moving away, and she was very hurt that I had done it so abruptly and hadn't really kept her in the loop. I really didn't keep anyone in the loop with this, mind you, but with the decisions I was making at that time. But she had texted me this, and I texted her back and I was like, what in the world are you talking about? And she says, Lo, like what you told me that you did, I can't be your friend anymore. Like I really had to sit back and think about this. I told you I was gonna think about this and think about our friendship and who you are as a person, and you're not who I thought you were. And I literally called her in that moment. Like I picked up my cell phone and I called her and I was like, I have no clue what you're talking about, Sarah, but like, if this is a joke, it's not funny. Like, I'm so stressed out already. Like, I'm living in the middle of nowhere with a roommate that I don't get along with, who I think is low-key possessed. My stuff isn't even unpacked. Like, what are you talking about? I haven't had any time to talk to you. And she said, you texted me. I didn't do any of this, but this is what I was texting her. I had snuck out. I went to a club in the middle of the night, drank, did drugs, blacked out, didn't remember what happened, but thought that I slept with someone. Keep in mind, of course, that I had gotten married. I was married to someone. And I'm telling my best friend that I literally snuck out of my home while my partner was not home, went to a club, blacked out, and slept with someone else. Whose mind would go to, oh, my roommate stole my phone, someone else texted that. My mind went to, Sarah, I have no clue what you're doing, but this isn't funny. Like, don't talk to me anymore because I'm already in such a bad place. She never joked around about things like that. Like, I think the most Sarah ever pranked me was one time she sent me one of our selfies and she had literally photoshopped a ghost in the background because she knew I was terrified of ghosts. That's the biggest like thing she ever did. She would never joke about things like this. And she's sitting here trying to say that I texted her these things when I never, ever, ever did. I tell Sarah it's not funny. I don't want to talk to her anymore. She's being a bad friend. She's not being supportive. That's really, really, really effed up. And I literally hang up on her. She responds by about 2 minutes later, sending me screenshots of the text messages, which of course could have been doctored, but I in no way would ever think that my best friend would do something like that. So I texted her and I said, that wasn't me. I would never do something like that. You know me. Like, I don't do things like that. I didn't text this from my phone. Are you sure that this is from me and like someone isn't messing with you? She sends another screenshot that shows like our last text conversation, and then the following text conversation is the whole thing where like I went buck wild and like did some messed up stuff, right? And so immediately I'm like, okay, so I call my mom, and this is where this story like breaks my heart. My mom answers the phone and she doesn't even say hello, and I'm like, Mom, something really weird is going on. And my mother says to me, I thought you never wanted to talk to me again. My mom literally told me on the phone that she didn't want to be in my life if I was going to talk to her the way that I did and if I was going to treat her the way that I did. Something kind of clicked in my head right then to think that the two things were correlated between Sarah and my mom, because my mom and I weren't on great terms at this point in time, but I love my mom more than anything. I love both my parents more than anything, and I would never, ever, ever disrespect her or talk meanly to her or anything. I mean, I've never even like, I don't think I've ever even raised my voice with my mother. I would never talk to her, disrespect her in any way. And I said, like, when did I say this to you? And she said, you texted me and you said this and this and this and this, and like spat out these words that were so vile, just disgusting, disgusting stuff that I would never say to my mother and that I can't even repeat most of. And I told her that something was happening because Sarah had gotten text messages from me as well, and that I hadn't sent them, and I needed her to look at my phone records and see who else I had texted, because somebody is texting from my phone and I need to know who else I've texted. I need to reach out to whoever else this has happened to, because clearly it's happened to Sarah, it's happened to my mom. My mom sends me a screenshot and I have texted her, Sarah, one of my other really good friends, I guess I'll call Charles, a bunch of awful things he wound up relaying to me. I had texted things to ex-boyfriends that she knew about, Whitney. I had texted everyone, it seemed, and I reached out to everyone and I was like, what did I say to you? I felt like I was like retracing my steps. You know how like in The Hangover they don't know what happened and they're retracing their steps? That's how I felt in that moment, because I was the only person out of the loop and everyone was so mad at me and I had no clue what had happened. Thank God I'm surrounded by such good people and nobody held it against me. Nobody didn't believe me. My mom, especially after seeing the whole thing that went down with Whitney stealing from us, you know, my mom, I kept telling my mom that something had gone wrong, that Whitney couldn't have stolen from us. At the time, I really did not believe it. Now, looking back, of course she stole from my family. I kept thinking I had done something, I had misplaced something, something else had happened, because there's no way my friend would have stolen from my mom. She never could have stolen from our family, you know? But I think that Whitney was so hard on my mom, and she said the vilest things to her because my mom had accused her of stealing the things because my mom knew better. I wound up telling my husband about it, and we kind of sat down and sort of looked at things very logically. And when we confronted Whitney and her boyfriend, who I've never really named, but we confronted them about it and said, like, here's the thing that happened. I live with you people, like no one else has access to my phone. I didn't even have a lock on my phone at the time. Really silly now looking back, but I didn't. And so we confronted them, and she lost her mind, like started screaming about how ungrateful I was, how she does nothing but good things for me, and how dare I accuse her of this. And now I understand that when people are kind of caught in those situations and they're very defensive like that, it means that they have something to be defensive about. It's because they feel caught and they're trying to make you feel like the bad guy in hopes that they won't like get caught. You know what I mean? Like it's like reverse psychology or something. And so we confront them with this. She denies it. And I go back and I talk to my partner, and that's when we started discussing moving out and getting our own place. And even if we were broke, it was better than somebody texting from my phone. Knowing all that you guys know, I don't know if this was another aspect of the Ouija board, what happened when we played it, or if this was all Whitney. And I thought I would just tell this story as another installment of this. And I had such bad luck with her. I've had such bad luck with like roommates in general. Actually, no, I haven't. It was really just her. My roommate, Erin, I loved, and I had a roommate last year that I was really good friends with too. I just wanted to tell you guys this story because I promise you the finale is in sight. I will make sure it happens. I am just terrified to tell the story because I really was almost arrested. It is a very scary story for me. It's very hard to put out there, but I wanted to tell it because it's a huge part of my life and it was a huge learning experience. I'm gonna go ahead and go. I've been filming this video for like hours, like trying to figure out what to say, what not to say, and now I'm gonna go edit it. So I love you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed this video for what it is. That was really it for the story. I mean, that's how it ended, was I had to reach out to everyone that I knew and say that somebody else had texted from my phone and that I would never say those things and I loved them. But I know in my gut, in my like soul, that it had to have been her. And the other reason I know that it was her, not only would my husband never do that, and not only would her boyfriend never do that, I'm certain they were at work during the hours that she had texted from my phone. So there's no way it was anyone else. It was just me and her. Just me and her. So that is my story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you were entertained. I'm gonna go because remembering this just gives me a freaking headache, but I'll be back with a more fun story time coming up soon. I love you all and I'll see you soon.